The stars shimmered like diamonds against the black canvas of space as the massive alien ship descended through Earth's atmosphere. It was the year 2157, and humanity had finally achieved faster-than-light travel just 3 months ago. The response had been swift. A delegation from something called the Galactic Council arrived to evaluate Earth for membership. Jack Miller straightened his tie and took a deep breath. As Earth's lead negotiator, the weight of humanity's future rested on his shoulders. The conference room in the United Nations building had been specially prepared for this historic meeting. 5 other humans waited with him: scientists, military leaders, and diplomats chosen to represent Earth. "They're here," Lisa Donovan whispered. The young diplomat's eyes were wide with excitement. The doors slid open. 3 alien species entered the room. The Zerlaxians came first, tall, blue-skinned beings with 4 arms and proud bearing. Behind them walked the Neth'Ari, gray-skinned and slender with large eyes that seemed to analyze everything. Last came the Vrel, floating rather than walking, their translucent bodies pulsing with soft light. "Welcome to Earth," Jack said, stepping forward with an extended hand. The lead Zorlaxian, Ambassador Krell, ignored the offered handshake. "We come to evaluate, not to exchange pleasantries," he said in perfect English. "Your species has activated faster-than-light technology. This triggers automatic review for council membership." Over the next week, the aliens observed human cities, governments, and military bases. They reviewed human history and interviewed key leaders. Jack grew more worried with each passing day. The aliens asked strange questions and seemed troubled by the answers. "Why do humans create art that depicts suffering?" asked the Neth'Ari delegate. "Why do you allow so many different governments instead of one efficient system?" questioned Ambassador Krell. "Your wars, so many wars." "Why?" the Vrel representative whispered, its body dimming with what seemed like sadness. On the final day, the council representatives gathered again at the United Nations. Jack tried to look confident, but his stomach was in knots. Ambassador Krell stood to deliver their verdict. "After careful evaluation, the Galactic Council has rejected Earth's application for membership." A shocked murmur spread through the room. "On what grounds?" demanded Frank Walsh, the military representative. "Humanity is dangerously unpredictable," Krell stated flatly. "Your species makes decisions based on emotions rather than logic. Your political systems are unstable. Your history is filled with violence. Your curiosity leads you to interfere where you should not." The Neth'Ari representative added, "Council analysis shows a 78.3% probability that humans would disrupt galactic stability within 50 years of membership." "This is absurd," Jack protested. "Humans have achieved peace among our nations. Our curiosity drives scientific progress. Our emotions give us compassion." "Our decision is final," Krell said coldly. "A quarantine zone will be established around your solar system. You may continue to develop within this zone, but any human ships attempting to leave will be destroyed." The delegation left without another word, their ship rising silently into the sky. In the stunned silence that followed, world leaders argued about how to respond. Some wanted to build weapons to fight the council. Others suggested proving human worthiness through peaceful means. Lisa Donovan, who had been quiet throughout the proceedings, finally spoke up. "They've made a terrible mistake," she said. "They think our emotions and diversity make us weak. They don't understand that these things are our strength." Jack looked out the window at the stars, now seeming cold and distant. "So what do we do now?" Lisa's eyes narrowed with determination. "We show them exactly what humans do when someone tells us we can't do something." As news of the rejection spread across Earth, humanity's reaction wasn't despair. It was resolve. If the galaxy wouldn't accept humans as equals, humanity would find another way forward. The council had based their decision on fear of human potential. They would learn just how right they were to be afraid. The world watched as the last council ship disappeared into the stars. Then came 10 years of silence. On the surface, Earth seemed to accept its fate. Human leaders sent regular messages of peace and acceptance to the council's monitoring station on Mars. They spoke of respecting the council's decision and focusing on improving Earth instead of reaching for the stars. The Council believed these messages. They reduced their patrols around the solar system. The quarantine seemed to be working as intended. But deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Frank Walsh stood in a secret base that officially did not exist. Around him, engineers and scientists worked on ships that weren't supposed to be built. "Report," he ordered. Susan Wright, lead engineer on the SHIELD project, stepped forward. Her eyes were tired from lack of sleep, but they shone with excitement. "The new SHIELD design works, Admiral. Council sensors will see nothing but empty space." Frank nodded, allowing himself a small smile. "And the weapons?" "Ready for testing next week," Susan replied. "They're unlike anything we've had before." This was the true face of humanity's response to rejection. Not acceptance, but careful planning. Not surrender, but secret preparation. Earth had become a hive of hidden activity, all outside the watchful eyes of the Council. In underground facilities around the world, new technologies were being developed at an astonishing pace. Motivated by the need to prove themselves and a deep anger at being caged, human scientists made breakthroughs that might have taken centuries under normal conditions. On the far side of the moon, hidden from both Earth and Mars, Colonial Governor Henry Martinez inspected the first fleet of ships designed to establish human colonies beyond the solar system. "How many people can each ship carry?" he asked the project manager. 5,000 colonists in cryosleep," came the answer. "Plus crew. Each ship carries everything needed to build a self-sufficient colony." Henry ran his hand along the smooth hull of the nearest ship. "And the Council won't detect them leaving?" "No, sir. Thanks to Paul Carter's masking technology, we can slip right past their sensors." Paul Carter was only 26 years old, but his discovery of how to bend light and energy around ships had changed everything. The quiet engineering student had found a way to make ships invisible to Council technology. Now those ships would carry humanity to the stars despite the quarantine. The first colony ships left 3 days later, slipping away from the solar system like ghosts. Their destination was Proxima Centauri, the closest star system to Earth. It would become the first foothold of what would later be called the Human Commonwealth. More ships followed. Each month, thousands of humans left to build new homes on distant worlds. The Council, growing complacent, noticed nothing. In his office at United Nations headquarters, Jack Miller received regular secret updates on the colonization progress. He shared these only with a small group of world leaders. To everyone else, he maintained the fiction that humanity had accepted its isolation. "How many colonies now?" he asked Lisa Donovan, who had become his most trusted advisor. 12, she replied. "All self-sufficient, all hidden from Council scans." She placed a tablet on his desk showing the locations, spreading out in a rough sphere from Earth. "We're calling it the Silent Expansion." Jack looked at the map and felt a mix of pride and worry. "And when the Council finally discovers what we've done," Lisa's expression was serious, "by then it will be too late for them to stop us. We'll be too spread out, too established." She pointed to the projected growth of colonies over the next decade. "This is just the beginning." Outside the window, the stars no longer seemed distant and cold. They looked like opportunities, places where humanity would make new homes and build its strength. The Council had meant to contain humanity, but instead they had forced it to become something new, something that would soon make the galaxy take notice. 13 years had passed since the Council's rejection. The human presence beyond Earth now included 37 colonies spread across 22 star systems. Each colony grew stronger and more self-sufficient with each passing day. Captain Laura Phillips stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Pathfinder, staring at a star map that showed human expansion through this section of space. Red dots marked established colonies, while blue ones showed planned settlement locations. "Next stop is the Epsilon system," she told her crew. "Scans show 3 planets that might support life." Laura had led the first wave of hidden colonization, ships. Now she commanded the exploration fleet that scouted new worlds for settlement. Her ships used Paul Carter's masking technology to remain undetected by Council sensors. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the fourth planet in the system," her science officer reported. Laura frowned. "Council presence?" "No, ma'am. It's something else." 2 days later, Laura stood face to face with aliens who were not from the Council. They called themselves the Telvari. Tall and slender with copper-colored skin and 4 eyes, they regarded the humans with obvious curiosity. "You travel hidden," said their leader, whose name translated as Sky Voice. "Like us. Why?" "We were rejected by the Galactic Council," Laura explained. "They said humans were too dangerous to join them." The Telvari made a sound like soft laughter. "They said the same about us. Too aggressive, too independent," they claimed. This meeting changed everything. The Telvari had been developing, in secret just like humans, rejected for similar reasons. They had technology humans didn't, while humans had innovations the Telvari lacked. Both species had been forced to become creative to survive outside Council authority. "We should work together," Laura suggested. Sky Voice agreed. The outsiders should stand together. Back on Earth, in the hidden command center beneath the Pacific, Gregory Kim demonstrated his latest breakthrough to Admiral Walsh and the military leadership. "We call it integrated ship intelligence," Gregory explained, gesturing to the complex system displayed on the screens around them. "It's not true AI, but it's close. It learns from every situation and adapts ship systems accordingly." Admiral Walsh studied the data with narrowed eyes. "And it works?" "Better than we expected," Gregory replied. "Ships equipped with this system can predict enemy movements and react faster than human crews alone. In simulations, they've proven nearly impossible to defeat." The integration of this technology into human ships would change space combat forever. No Council vessel could match the speed and adaptability of a human ship with Kim's system installed. Meanwhile, on the colony world Terra Nova, Lisa Donovan met with representatives from the Telvari and 2 other species who had also been rejected by the Council. Together they formed the Outsiders Alliance, a mutual defense pact that would protect all their peoples from Council interference. "The Council believes they've contained us," Lisa told the gathered representatives. "They have no idea how wrong they are." On the edges of Council space, supply ships began to report missing shipments. Mining outposts found resource deposits mysteriously depleted. Strange sensor readings appeared and disappeared before they could be investigated. The Council noticed these anomalies but could not explain them. In reality, human ships were testing Council defenses, mapping their territory and occasionally taking what they needed. Each mission provided valuable intelligence about Council capabilities. Jack Miller, now coordinator of humanity's expansion, received regular reports of these activities. The reports pleased him, but also filled him with concern. "We're playing a dangerous game," he told Lisa during a secure communication. "If the Council discovers even one of our colonies, they'll realize what we've been doing all these years." Lisa's face on the screen was calm and determined. "Then we need to be ready when that happens. Because it will happen, Jack. Sooner or later, the Council will find us." Neither of them knew how soon that confrontation would come, or how unprepared the Council would be for what humanity had become. The day humanity feared and prepared for finally arrived. A Council patrol ship detected unusual energy readings near Proxima Centauri, the site of humanity's first colony. The patrol changed course to investigate. What they found shocked them. A thriving human settlement of 50,000 people spread across the planet's surface. Factories, farms, and cities where there should have been nothing but empty space. The Council ship sent an urgent message to their headquarters, then approached the colony with weapons ready. Olivia Reyes, commander of the colony's defense force, received word of the approaching ship. She had trained for this moment for years. Her orders were clear. No Council ship that discovered a human colony could be allowed to report back. "All defense stations prepare for contact," she ordered, her voice calm despite her racing heart. "Remember your training." The Council ship entered orbit and broadcast a message. "Unauthorized human settlement. You are in violation of Council. Quarantine. Surrender immediately or face destruction. Olivia opened a channel. This is Commander Olivia Reyes of the Human Commonwealth. We claim this world as our territory. We do not recognize council authority over humans or human settlements. The council commander was a Zorlaxian, his blue face filling the screen. Humans are confined to the Sol system by council decree. Your colony will be destroyed as an example. Olivia's expression didn't change. I suggest you reconsider. The council ship fired a warning shot that struck the planet's surface, destroying an empty field. The message was clear: surrender or be destroyed. All defense platforms activate, Olivia ordered. Hidden weapons emerged from buildings and hillsides across the colony. Before the council ship could react, 20 defense batteries fired simultaneously. The council ship's shields flickered and failed against the unexpected firepower. Target their engines and weapons. Disable, don't destroy, Olivia commanded. The council ship tried to retreat, but precision strikes crippled its engines. It hung helpless in orbit. Boarding teams, prepare for capture, Olivia said. Human ships, hidden until now, approached the damaged council vessel. Soldiers in advanced combat suits boarded the alien ship, overwhelming its crew with stunning speed. Within an hour, the Nethari cruiser Eternal Logic had been captured intact, its crew detained, and its technology secured. William Porter, chief engineer of the colony, could hardly contain his excitement as he examined the captured ship. Their technology is advanced, but not as advanced as we expected, he told Olivia. And some of their systems are surprisingly inefficient. Can we learn from it? Olivia asked. William nodded eagerly. Absolutely. We can reverse engineer everything. Their weapons, shields, engines, all of it. And I bet we can improve on most of it. Back on Earth, word of the confrontation reached Jack Miller within hours. He immediately called an emergency meeting of Commonwealth leadership. It's happened, he announced to the grim-faced group. The council has discovered one of our colonies. Admiral Walsh leaned forward. How did our forces perform? Better than expected, Jack replied. The council ship was captured with minimal damage, but more will come when they lose contact with the patrol. Lisa Donovan spoke up. Then it's time for the next phase. We can't hide anymore. Jack nodded slowly. Agreed. Send the message to all colonies and ships. Throughout human space, leaders received the coded message they had prepared for. Sunlight protocol active. Human ships emerged from hiding. Defense systems went to full alert. The time for secrecy was over. On the Council's central world, the emergency session was chaos. Reports came in from across the border regions. Human ships and settlements had been detected in dozens of systems that should have been empty. How is this possible? Demanded the Council leader. They were contained. Apparently not, replied the intelligence director. And worse, they've been preparing for war. The Zorlaxian representative slammed his fist on the table. They must be destroyed immediately. All human settlements, all human ships. I declare humanity a grave threat to galactic stability, the council leader announced formally. All council forces are authorized to eliminate human presence outside the Sol system. What the council didn't know was that humanity had expected this reaction, and they had prepared accordingly. The real war was about to begin. 10 years had passed since the first confrontation with the council. What began as a single colony's defense had grown into something much larger. The Human Commonwealth now controlled 27 star systems with nearly 100 million people living on colonies far from Earth. On the planet Terra Nova, Governor Eric Summers stood before the gathered representatives of all human worlds. The Grand Hall had been built specifically for this historic meeting. Today we formalize what we have already become, Eric announced to the crowded room. No longer just scattered colonies, but a unified force in the galaxy. The Commonwealth Charter was signed that day, creating the first official human government beyond Earth. Each colony would govern its own affairs, but all would stand together against outside threats. Catherine Weaver, the Commonwealth's chief military strategist, unrolled a star map on the table before the newly formed Defense Council. "The Council expects us to fight like them," she explained, pointing to various star systems. "But we won't. We'll fight like humans." Her strategy was revolutionary. Traditional space warfare relied on large fleets meeting in set battles. Catherine's approach used smaller, faster ships that could strike and disappear before the enemy could respond. She called it distributed warfare, and it would change how battles were fought forever. "They have more ships and more weapons," she told the Defense Council, "but we have better technology and more creative tactics, and most importantly, we're fighting for our right to exist." The Council tried to crush humanity with economic pressure. They blocked trade routes and threatened any species that did business with humans, but their plan backfired. Black markets flourished. Species that had chafed under Council rule for centuries found new opportunities in trading with humans. Daniel Blackwood worked in the shadows. As Director of Commonwealth Intelligence, he built a network of spies throughout Council space. Some were humans disguised as traders or travelers. Others were aliens who had grown disillusioned with the Council. "Information is as valuable as any weapon," Daniel told his agents during their secret training. "Know what the enemy plans before they act, and you've already won half the battle." His network provided critical warnings of Council movements and plans. More than once, planned attacks on human settlements were abandoned when the Council discovered the humans had already prepared defenses. The Telvari, humanity's first alien allies, formally joined the Commonwealth. Their ambassador stood before the Commonwealth Assembly and spoke words that sent ripples through the galaxy. "For too long, the Council has decided which species are worthy and which are not," the ambassador declared. "Together, we will create a different path." 3 other species soon followed. The rejects of the galaxy were building their own alliance, one that welcomed difference rather than feared it. On the Council homeworld, the leadership was in disarray. Some wanted to negotiate with the humans. Others demanded all-out war. The Zorlaxian faction pushed hardest for military action. Humans must be destroyed before they spread further, the Zorlaxian representative insisted. But their unity was cracking. The Nethari, always logical, saw the futility of fighting a war against an enemy that refused to fight in predictable ways. "Our analysis shows a concerning pattern," the Nethari speaker noted. "Each engagement with human forces results in greater losses for Council ships. They are adapting faster than we can." On the edge of Commonwealth space, Admiral Rebecca Johnson commanded the newly formed Ghost Fleet, ships designed specifically for hit-and-run attacks. Her forces struck Council supply lines and outposts, then vanished before reinforcements arrived. "We don't need to win big battles," she told her captains. "We just need to make them afraid to send their ships into our territory." The Council had expected to quickly crush the human upstarts. Instead, they found themselves facing an opponent unlike any they had encountered in thousands of years of galactic rule, an opponent that didn't follow the established rules of conflict, an opponent that grew stronger with each passing day. What they didn't yet realize was that the human Commonwealth was evolving into something else entirely, something that would soon challenge the very foundations of Council power. Neither side declared war officially, but the conflict between the human Commonwealth and the Galactic Council intensified. Historians would later call it the Shadow War, a decade of secret operations, proxy battles, and growing tension. On the border planet Helios, Commonwealth agent Sophia Martinez slipped through the crowded market. Her face looked different now, altered to appear more like the Vrel. She carried information that could change the course of the conflict. For 3 years, Sophia had worked undercover in Council space. She had discovered that several Council species were secretly unhappy with their leadership. Minor species who had joined the Council centuries ago felt ignored and used. "They're ripe for rebellion," she reported during a secure transmission to Daniel Blackwood. "The Council is not as unified as they want us to believe." Daniel's face on the small screen showed rare excitement. "Can you make contact with their leaders?" Sophia nodded. "Already have. They're interested in what the Commonwealth offers." This was the true nature of the Shadow War. While ships fought in distant systems, Agents like Sophia worked to undermine the council from within. They spread ideas of freedom and self-determination among species who had always been told what to do. The council was not idle. Their assassins made repeated attempts to kill Commonwealth leaders. The most dramatic came during a speech by Commonwealth President Andrew Bell on Terra Nova. A council operative fired a weapon from the crowd. The shot missed the president by inches. Security forces captured the assassin alive. Under questioning, the assassin revealed a council plan to eliminate all high-ranking Commonwealth officials in coordinated strikes. Thanks to this warning, the plan failed completely. The Zorlaxian faction grew more aggressive as their frustration mounted. They pushed for full-scale war, committing more ships and resources to the fight. Humans understand only strength, the Zorlaxian leader insisted in council meetings. We must show overwhelming force, but the human ghost fleet proved impossible to pin down. Admiral Rebecca Johnson never engaged in direct battles when council numbers were superior. Her ships struck unexpectedly, then disappeared before the council could respond. In her flagship bridge, Rebecca studied reports of council fleet movements. "They're getting desperate," she told her officers. "They're sending larger forces but spreading them too thin." She ordered attacks on isolated council ships and lightly defended outposts. Each success made the council commit more resources to defense, stretching their forces further. The Commonwealth's technological advantage grew with each passing year. The captured council ship had provided valuable insights, but human innovation quickly surpassed the alien technology. In a secret research facility orbiting Saturn, scientist Peter Harris led the team developing the displacement drive, AEO, new form of faster-than-light travel. Standard FTL travel requires ships to follow specific paths, Peter explained to Commonwealth military leaders. But the displacement drive can move ships instantly between any 2 points in space. Admiral Walsh, now the highest-ranking military officer in the Commonwealth, immediately understood the implications. The Council builds their defense around controlling travel lanes. This would make their entire strategy useless. Peter nodded. Exactly. Their sensor networks, defense platforms, patrol routes, all become pointless if we can simply appear anywhere we choose. The first test of the displacement drive succeeded beyond all expectations. A small scout ship vanished from Saturn orbit and reappeared near Jupiter instantly. The technology would need refinement before it could be used in battle, but the potential was clear. As the Shadow War entered its 10th year, several minor council species secretly contacted Commonwealth representatives. They wanted to discuss terms for switching sides. The Council, once seemingly all-powerful, was beginning to fracture. Their inability to defeat humans or contain human expansion had exposed weaknesses in their 10,000-year rule. What no one in the Council realized was that the Commonwealth's leaders were already planning their next evolution. The defensive alliance formed out of necessity was ready to become something more ambitious, a true empire that would reshape the galaxy. Neither side declared war officially, but the conflict between the human Commonwealth and the Galactic Council intensified. Historians would later call it the Shadow War, a decade of secret operations, proxy battles, and growing tension. On the border planet Helios, Commonwealth agent Sophia Martinez slipped through the crowded market. Her face looked different now, altered to appear more like the Vrel. She carried information that could change the course of the conflict. For 3 years, Sophia had worked undercover in council space. She had discovered that several council species were secretly unhappy with their leadership. Minor species who had joined the council centuries ago felt ignored and used. "They're ripe for rebellion," she reported during a secure transmission to Daniel Blackwood. "The council is not as unified as they want us to believe." Daniel's face on the small screen showed rare excitement. "Can you make contact with their leaders?" Sophia nodded. "Already have. They're interested in what the Commonwealth offers." This was the true nature of the Shadow War. While ships fought in distant systems, agents like Sophia worked to undermine the council from within. They spread ideas of freedom and self-determination among species who had always been told what to do. The council was not idle. Their assassins made repeated attempts to kill Commonwealth leaders. The most dramatic came during a speech by Commonwealth President Andrew Bell on Terra Nova. A council operative fired a weapon from the crowd. The shot missed the president by inches. Security forces captured the assassin alive. Under questioning, the assassin revealed a council plan to eliminate all high-ranking Commonwealth officials in coordinated strikes. Thanks to this warning, the plan failed completely. The Zorlaxian faction grew more aggressive as their frustration mounted. They pushed for full-scale war, committing more ships and resources to the fight. Humans understand only strength, the Zorlaxian leader insisted in council meetings. We must show overwhelming force. But the human Ghost Fleet proved impossible to pin down. Admiral Rebecca Johnson never engaged in direct battles when council numbers were superior. Her ships struck unexpectedly, then disappeared before the council could respond. In her flagship bridge, Rebecca studied reports of council fleet movements. They're getting desperate, she told her officers. They're sending larger forces but spreading them too thin. She ordered attacks on isolated council ships and lightly defended outposts. Each success made the council commit more resources to defense, stretching their forces further. The Commonwealth's technological advantage grew with each passing year. The captured council ship had provided valuable insights, but human innovation quickly surpassed the alien technology. In a secret research facility orbiting Saturn, scientist Peter Harris led the team developing the displacement drive, new form of faster-than-light travel. Standard FTL travel requires ships to follow specific paths, Peter explained to Commonwealth military leaders. But the displacement drive can move ships instantly between any 2 points in space. Admiral Walsh, now the highest-ranking military officer in the Commonwealth, immediately understood the implications. The Council builds their defense around controlling travel lanes. This would make their entire strategy useless. Peter nodded. Exactly. Their sensor networks, defense platforms, patrol routes, all become pointless if we can simply appear anywhere we choose. The first test of the displacement drive succeeded beyond all expectations. A small scout ship vanished from Saturn orbit and reappeared near Jupiter instantly. The technology would need refinement before it could be used in battle, but the potential was clear. As the Shadow War entered its 10th year, several minor council species secretly contacted Commonwealth representatives. They wanted to discuss terms for switching sides. The Council, once seemingly all-powerful, was beginning to fracture. Their inability to defeat humans or contain human expansion had exposed weaknesses in their 10,000-year rule. What no one in the Council realized was that the Commonwealth's leaders were already planning their next evolution. The defensive alliance formed out of necessity was ready to become something more ambitious, a true empire that would reshape the galaxy. 30 years after the Council rejected humanity, the galaxy had changed completely. The human empire now controlled over 200 star systems. Former Council races lived under human rule, some thriving, others still adjusting to their new place in the galaxy. Emperor Foster stood at the window of his office on Terra Nova, looking out at the capital city that had grown from a small colony to the center of galactic power. Gray had crept into his hair, but his eyes remained sharp and determined. It's time for the next step, he told his advisors. The empire was necessary to survive, but it's not the final form of what we can be. His plan shocked many. After 30 years of building the most powerful empire the galaxy had ever seen, Foster proposed transforming it again. He called his new vision the Galactic Concord, an alliance of equals where all species would have a voice. We built the empire because we had to, Foster explained in his address to the Imperial Senate. We needed strength to survive, but humanity's true strength has always been in working together, in finding common ground with those who are different from us. Not everyone agreed. Some human leaders had grown comfortable with power and didn't want to share it. Several former council races, especially the Zorlaxians, scoffed at the idea. They would never have shared power with us, argued one Imperial general. Why should we share with them? Foster's response was simple. Because we are not them. We will not repeat their mistakes. The transition began slowly. First came the Concord Charter, establishing basic rights for all sentient beings regardless of species. Then, joint colonial projects where humans worked alongside other races to build new settlements. Finally, the first Concord Assembly with representatives from 57 species. Vice Admiral Nicole Barnes commanded the new Concord peacekeeping fleet. Unlike the Imperial forces that came before, her ships included crew members from many species working together. Our diversity makes us stronger, she told new recruits. Each species brings different perspectives, different strengths. Together we can solve problems no single species could handle alone. The Zorlaxians resisted longest. Once the proud leaders of the council, they had fallen furthest. Their homeworld remained under human control, their once mighty fleets now reduced to a handful of ships. They will learn, Foster said when asked about the Zorlaxian resistance. Not through force, but through opportunity. Show them that cooperation brings greater rewards than conflict. Slowly, even the Zorlaxians began to change. Younger generations questioned the old hostilities. Trade brought prosperity. Cultural exchanges broke down barriers of mistrust. Before stepping down as emperor to become the first Concord coordinator, Foster made one final journey. He visited Earth, now just one planet among hundreds in human space, but still the birthplace of humanity. In the same United Nations building where Jack Miller had once received the Council's rejection, Foster addressed the assembled leaders. The Council feared us because we were different, he said. They saw our emotions as weakness, our diversity as chaos, our adaptability as dangerous unpredictability. What they failed to understand was that these qualities are our greatest strengths. Ryan Mitchell, the human diplomatic envoy, delivered the opening address at the first full Concord Assembly. Representatives from over 100 species filled the Grand Hall on Terra Nova. We were rejected for being human, Ryan told the silent chamber. We built our empire by embracing exactly who we are. Now we invite all of you to join us in building something even greater. The Council had ruled the galaxy through fear and control for 40,000 years. In just 3 decades, humans had replaced it with something new. A galactic society that valued difference rather than feared it, that saw strength in diversity rather than conformity. The species that had once been deemed too dangerous for galactic society had become its greatest hope for a better future. The terrifying empire humanity built had transformed into something unexpected, a true community of worlds. The Council's greatest fear had come true, but not in the way they had imagined. Humanity had changed the galaxy forever, and the galaxy was better for it.